Well, hi again.
Hi.
Nice to talk to you. So what I want to ask you is, what was it about this that made you want to do it? What either about the character or
Nothing.
the
I
script? Yeah.
didn't want to do it. I thought it was a terrible idea. What kind of moron would play Cary Grant on screen other than Cary Grant? And even he struggled to play Cary Grant. But then I read the script and I thought, oh, it's not about Cary Grant. It's about a guy called Archie who had a really screwed up childhood, was incredibly damaged and abandoned and neglected, felt completely unlovable because no one had ever loved him, and how those scars really never healed, or certainly not for many decades, whilst the world fell in love with him. And he felt even worse about himself. And I thought, oh, that seems like something as an actor I'd like to play. Trying to play the world's most desired man is a poison chalice, and you'd be a moron to take that on.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it daunting playing such a big character? But were you worried that like even his family, that people would, you playing him, that it would come out wrong? I mean, did you worry at all about how people would react to that?
Well, at first, yeah, but I thought, well, I'm given a bit of a license here because he wasn't Cary Grant. And off screen, he really wasn't him at all, emotionally and personally. He was a very, if he was unflappable on screen, he was extremely flappable in life. He was very fragile and given to fits of rage and self-hatred and alcoholism and such control freakery that he drove everyone away in his personal relationships. He became obsessive about people and stalked them essentially, and was haunted by these terrible scars, these wounds that were still open from his childhood. And I thought, well, nobody knows that. The people watching it, if they think they're going to watch Cary Grant from North by Northwest or something else, they should go and watch the movie. This is who he was when he stepped off the screen and through his front door and shut the front door and was with the person that he thought he loved, but he didn't really know how to love until Jennifer came along, his daughter came along. So I was daunted by people's expectations. And then when I thought I was going to take the job, when I decided to take the job, I went, fuck it. I mean, they're already sharpening the knives. People go, he's no Cary Grant. I know I'm no Cary Grant. That's absolutely fine. But I'll give you, meet me halfway with your imagination, your suspension of disbelief. I'll show you what a decent team who've done a lot of work and research, and Diane Cannon, what he was like when he got home at a very tumultuous period of his life.
Did you approach it differently though, at all, knowing that it was like a real person, or does it really not matter to you either way?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's a ton of research to do because, although he wasn't that unflappable, debonair kind of epitome of masculinity in his life at all, and he was very emotionally fragile and volcanic. He looked a certain way, and so that's a bit of a challenge to try and. I mean, I don't do most of the work. The makeup and hair department do a lot of it, and the costume department do the other half. And I was never going to look like Cary Grant. I was just going to look a bit less like me and a slight indication in his direction. It's not meant to be a lookalike contest.
Right.
AI will be able to do that very soon. And then there was the voice, which was a scary thing because people think they know his voice. Actually, they really know Tony Curtis in Some Like It Hot, doing a very exaggerated parody of his voice. And he didn't have a consistent voice. So I broke it down with a dialect coach. His accent changed from film to film. And more importantly, he didn't talk like that in life. Not just the vowel sounds, which he did have consistently, but if anybody was ever bored enough to analyze, take it from me, I'll save you the time. He delivered almost every line in exactly the same intonation pattern. It lifts and it comes down, and it sounds very sure. It conveys absolute certainty. But there's no way he talked like that when he was screaming at his wife, or when he was crying because of his nightmares, or when he dropped acid hundreds of times with his therapist, and or spilt hot coffee in his lap. That's not what he sounded like. And so the challenge was to get something recognizably the same voice as the man on the screen, but what he was like at home. And I did, luckily enough, find one. There's only one illicit recording of an interview with him, because he didn't do talk shows, he didn't do podcasts, he didn't want the public to see who he was behind the mask. But I found a tape, and that's what I used as a model.
Yeah, that probably, though, in a way made it easier because people, on some part of it, I mean, obviously that was hard not to have it, but at the same time, then you don't have to worry about, what people expect.
I mean, there's
a
couple of bits of recreations of the film, and at that point, it's a bit of a challenge, a kind of craft challenge. You go, how close to exactly what he sounded like and how he moved can I be? I can't control what I look like, but I've got the chin, I've got the eyes and the hair, and the audience will just have to forgive me the rest. But yeah, that was fun doing the little bits of films. It's like an exercise at drama school. Can you sound as much like him as possible? I hopefully I did.
How long did the makeup take? I mean, especially towards later in his life, I assume seemed like there was a lot more makeup. It probably took
when he's in his 80s, because he was a very well, you might say vain, or you might say clever man in terms of he kept his image, he curated his image so perfectly. odd and interesting that he let his hair go white when he continued to keep dark brown tan his whole life, and was very concerned to make sure his body, if his belt was ever one extra notch, he would go on an extreme diet very quickly and drop it down. But when he stopped acting, he got a little bit wider. So yeah, the prosthetic makeup for my 80s was many, many hours. It's hours to take it off as well. So you to take it off very carefully. But when he was younger, it's a series of different wigs, and the chin went on quickly. I had a fake tan painted the entire time. It was a little bit embarrassing. I was kind of dark brown, like outdoor furniture varnish, as he was. So there was chin. There was a lady employed to stick brown contact lenses in my eyes and take them out every couple of hours, put drops in, and the wig. So that would be in about an hour and a half or something. But when he was old, it was like 4 hours or 5 hours.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I know. When I was watching it, I kept thinking something. I mean, obviously, I could tell the chin and the tan, but I knew something was so different. It took me forever to realize it was your eyes, and I'm like, that's why it looks
famous for
so different. Because I don't think I've ever seen you with darker eyes in anything.
Well, not only was it, do I look different because it really changed your color eyes, but couldn't really see very much because it was dark brown. I had a kind of sepia tint over everything. So I was trying to play this elegant man, with an acrobat's body, but I was constantly tripping over everything.
That's funny. Now, when I talked to you last time, well, not last time, before that, for Good Sam, you had told me how for you acting is more about kind of what's not so much what you're saying, but what you're not saying, and trying to figure that out.
Well, I mean, it's for all actors.
So with something like this, is that like, did you have to make some of that up because you can't talk to him, or was it more just taken from talking to his family members and things like that?
No, so although I talked, about the research I did and all this, you throw all of it away when you're in the moment with a person, and someone as brilliant as Laura Aikman, who played Diane Cannon in this, and so as nimble. You forget any research. You don't plan anything. You don't plan what you're thinking or what you're saying, or it so happens someone's written, but you clear your mind of that, and those words come to you spontaneously. But all the other things you're not saying, all the things you want the other person to say, what you want them to feel. So I'm talking to you now, and you're nodding. But so if I saw this bit in the script, it's not about what I'm saying. It's not about, this is the bit where he waxes lyrical. This is the bit where I want you to nod and think I'm clever or insightful. And so acting is always about what you want from the other person. So whether they're alive or not, they can't tell you what they were thinking and feeling. They can't tell you what feelings came up they were suppressing, what memories came into their head. You have to be, and the older I get, I guess the more I do this with abandon, to completely clear yourself and be free for something to happen spontaneously. Because if you go, sometimes I've done scenes with young actors, and it's clear that to me that they have rehearsed this to death at home in front of their bathroom mirror. And if I was to spontaneously combust or drop my pants, it wouldn't come out any different. What they're doing is already fixed. And that's dead. That's dead acting. So yeah, but all acting is the 99% of things you're not doing and not saying that drive you to stay or do the things you're doing, and that's always every actor's job to fill up. Nobody gives you that.
Right. Now you've done a lot of different things, but do you still like learn things about yourself as an actor as you do something like this?
No. I mean, it reminded me that very, very rarely as an actor, as a male actor, do I get to do full chameleon dress-up stuff. I didn't look like me, and I didn't walk like me, and I didn't talk like me. And sometimes that's really freeing because there's no overlap with me, and I feel like I'm, the Italians have a thing called commedia dell'arte, and they work with masks. They put a mask on, they look at it for a second in the mirror, they turn around, and a completely new, fully formed character emerges, and they just go with it. It's like improv. And so it just reminded me how much fun it is to do Let's Pretend, because normally I get cast to look like this and play someone who looks a bit like this, and then I kind of behave within the parameters of this.
Yeah.
So that's why I do a lot of voice work, which I love, and video games and stuff, because I can be anything and imagine myself as anything. Acting is only about tricking your imagination. Did I learn anything new? I learn new things in life all the time from the people that I work with, and young people particularly. But as an actor, no, I just learned that sometimes it's fun, and that sometimes you can tell stories that that have value. This is a story about a guy born in 1904 who died in 1986, and many people watching it will never have seen him. I don't know, but we all know people that we think are fabulous and great today because they come through our phones. We all know who today's global icons are, and the social media tells us they have 300 million followers, and we don't know anything about them. We don't know who they are, but we should never fool ourselves, and we should never feel less than anyone that seems to have what we want, because we have no idea what's going on inside their heads. And this was just another reminder of that truism.
So now I got to ask you, since people don't obviously know you, what's something about you that people would be surprised to know of Jason
Uh,
that you haven't told before? You probably told everything
well,
by
I
now.
mean, if it's something I've kept private, I probably kept it private for a
Well, not,
reason.
not something private, just something people would be surprised about.
Oh, I was a pro skateboarder. You
Oh,
want something emotional, something life? I was a pro skateboarder, and that's what I thought I wanted to do for a living when I was 14 and 15.
oh wow. Well, I definitely did not know that, so that's good. No,
Yeah.
that works. Can you talk about working with Laura?
Sure. So I feel bad for Laura because she looks a lot like Diane Cannon, and so I don't think she gets enough credit for how brilliantly she transformed into Diane Cannon and how she studied her. Because unlike Cary Grant, who didn't give interviews because didn't want to be known, Diane Cannon was a very public figure once she shed the baggage of this marriage, and so Laura got her laugh so perfectly and her character, and she very wisely, because she became very close to Diane and spoke to her all the time, every day, really. Um, she wanted to enter this marriage initially with real cynicism, like, why is this guy older than my dad hitting on me? But then wide-eyed and full of just romance and love and kind of starry-eyed, take everything, to with such optimism. And so when it starts going wrong for her on screen, it was something she was going to get over, get through. That's what Diane was going to marry one time only in life, and whatever, she was committed. She was quite a religious person. And Laura created in herself such optimism and joy, so that when that was squashed out of her, it was heartbreaking to behold. And as she slowly took strength, but also I can be a bit I don't know, loose, naughty, whatever the word is. I'm an EP on it, and I was given license to play. So sometimes zig, and she would always zag, and then she realized she could do that too. And so you're asking before about preparing. Well, we didn't quite know what the scenes were going to be. Will we be shouting each other? Will we suddenly start kissing? Will we get physically close to each other? Will we throw the furniture? Just she's able to be completely in the moment. And I'd only ever seen her work doing comedy, in which she's brilliant. She does many, many voices as well, brilliant. So Diane said she got her accent down. She had no idea Laura was English. She spoke to her because Laura spoke to an American accent the first time. Yeah, I think she's remarkable. I think she's really something. And one of the reasons why this series is getting the response it does is because of how great it's as much Diane's story as Carrie's story, the period that we cover. And she inhabited it with such complexity and love, I think.
Now, you looking at Internet Movie Database, you have a lot of other stuff coming up. You're busy. What's something that you can promote that you can sort of talk a little bit about? Like, what do you have coming up for people to look for?
Oh my God! I pick any one of them. The people on the others will be really upset that I didn't mention them. I just wrapped on a film called The Salt Path with Gillian Anderson, which is based on the most beautiful book, real life people. One of the nicest, loveliest men I've ever met in my life, Moth Wynn, and his wife Ray Wynn, who wrote it. So that will be coming out. What's coming out next? I don't know. I did a film with Maxine Peake, the great British actress, called Anna, about the first journalist to stand up to Putin, who exposed his lies in Chechnya, the same lies he told in Ukraine. Nazis were going against the terrorists when he was orchestrating mass rape and mass murder. And she plays Anna Politkovskaya, who, for her pains, was shot on Putin's birthday. Her murderer just got released. What else am I in? I'm in a musical called Verona. It's an original musical, the music written by people who write for Beyonce and other big pop stars, based on the source material for Romeo and Juliet. Not Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare's one, but what he used as source material. So it's a different story, which is a kind of star-studded. I mean, they're all phenomenal singers singing these great pop songs. I heard them on set all day, so I couldn't stop singing them for months. It's when you hear a song, you want to hear it more than once to be able to, before it catches you. These songs got me straight away in the first chorus. So I don't know what's going on with that when that's coming out. What else did I do? Oh, did a fabulous little horror film. I mean, this is over the course of years. Sometimes these take years.
Yeah. Well, especially with
We've got a little micro-budget horror film in Canada called Honey Bunch, directed by Madeline and Dusty, to a young couple who are a couple who make films, starring also another young couple of indie filmmakers in Canada, which I just came back from. That was grand.
So quite a lot.
Which one's coming out first? The stuff. It makes it sound like I work all the time. I don't, but sometimes these, like buses, they pile up and then they come out.
Yeah, they take a long time. Is there something you still want to do? Like if you could create your own role that you've thought about, or have you not
Commentate
really?
on tennis. That's all. My only professional ambition left is to commentate on tennis. Sit in the booth with McEnroe and Navratilova, whoever it is, and grill them, because tennis is, apart from acting, there's two things in life that make me present. The world is a complicated, dark, and terrifying place at the moment. There's wars going on and horror and inhumanity everywhere you look. And I find it very hard to get that out of my head. I try and do some things to make it better so that I don't feel crippled with guilt as well as horror, fear for my children. But there are moments when my head is not in all these other horrible places. One is when I'm acting because I've got someone else's thoughts in my head. And the other is when I'm playing tennis because you have to be right there where the ball is, where the strings are. You think about anything else, you're done. And so my only professional ambition is to commentate on tennis, and that's it. Apart from that, I try and find talented people who are telling interesting, worthwhile stories, and I latch onto them like a parasite, and I don't let go.
All right. Well, hopefully I'll talk to you again for your next project. One of those next projects.
One of them will come out soon, I'm sure.
So many coming up. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I did really enjoy the series. I mean, I didn't know Cary Grant, but from what I can tell, you did a good job. So.
No, that's fine. That's the important thing. Anyone who's watching, holding up a scorecard about how good the mimicry is, you're watching the wrong show.
Yeah, true. Well, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. So
thank you very much.
All right. Well, have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.